I wanna hold you so much. At long last, love has won, and I thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off you.
Surprisingly, the Four Seasons, from the beginning, has really been the work of two guys. Members of the group come and go, but to this day, Frankie Valli's partner is Bob Gaudio. Bob was born across the Hudson River in the Bronx, but he moved to New Jersey as a teenager and quickly got into music. He played in local high school groups, at dances, and church socials. He started to write music and came up with an astonishing success almost immediately.
Man, dig that crazy chick.
The first song I wrote turned out to be Short Shorts, which was not much of a song, but it was a very big hit record. And from that point on, I just kind of stayed with it. It sort of was a hobby when it first started and turned into being a business, and it's always been fun.
He went from teenager to recording star literally overnight, taking most of the high school group with him. They were known as the Royal Teens. Bob Gaudio is one of the most consistently successful songwriters in the history of rock. He's written more than 30 hit records. Ragdoll. After a couple of years, the Royal Teens broke up, and Bob Gaudio joined a new group that became the Four Seasons. They started slowly at first, but in 1962, the incredible parade of Four Seasons hits began.
My flash recollections are, we recorded a song. It was called Sherry. We were playing at a local bar somewhere in South Jersey for the summer. The next thing I remember is Dick Clark played it on one of his Saturday afternoon shows, and 3 days later it sold 200 or 300,000 records, and before we knew it, it was number one.
It was amazing. From obscurity to superstardom nearly in seconds. Seasons records owed their success to the remarkable 3.5-octave voice of Frankie Valli. Singing was his goal in music, but in those days you couldn't just be a singer.
I wanted to be a singer, but in order to work you had to play and sing. All things turn around. Today, most groups are self-sustaining. They play and sing and write and everything. And I had one of those kind of groups in those days.
At first, he didn't play an instrument. But when he tried out for a singing job and found he needed one, he got one fast.
I lied and told him I played bass and went out and bought a bass from a pawn shop and took it home and played records and got a feel of what bass playing was like, and I faked bass with this guy's trio for 3 years.
He quit school at an early age, firmly convinced that music was his life. It may well have been, but it wasn't yet his livelihood. He had to work at a variety of jobs just to keep eating.
I was a hairdresser for a while. I worked construction for a while. I wasn't too proud to do anything. You know, I just wanted to escalate my life and get out of what I knew I could get out of if I worked hard enough. I just wanted to do something with my life.
He was willing to work, yes, but not at anything that would jeopardize his music.
I never took a job that promotions were in line and that whole kind of thing. If I felt that was happening, it already scared me and I wanted to get away from it. So I just stayed away from that kind of thing. I did fill-in work. My main goal was to stay in this business and work hard on it until I had developed myself so that I could make it.
Earning a musical living in the New York, New Jersey area was tough in those days. You had to be able to handle any kind of music. Frankie worked with groups under a variety of names, playing weddings, bar mitzvahs, high school proms, and anything else he could get. They were called the Romans, the Topics, the Four Lovers, and a bunch of other names, including the Varietones.
The Varietones came out of the fact that we had done just about everything. We did some Polish music and Italian music, and we did country music. We did a little there. 12 or 15 weeks, we dominated the #1 spot. Sherry was #1, and Sherry was replaced by Big Girls Don't Cry, #1, and Big Girls Don't Cry was replaced by Walk Like a Man, #1.
The Four Seasons spent their first few years in the background, literally. It wasn't until the little man with the 3.5-octave voice stepped out front that the Four Seasons reached their heights. We'll look at that next on the Special of the Week. The group's career probably came during the late 50s in Pittsburgh. Bob Gaudio remembers the first time he met Frankie Valli.
We did a TV show together. He was with a group called the Four Lovers, and I was with my first group, which was the Royal Teens. And we just kind of struck up conversation. And then I left the Royal Teens about 2 years later, and we ran into each other again and started the Four Seasons.
Names. Frankie Costelluccio has known many. Ladies and gentlemen, the Special of the Week proudly presents Frankie Valli and the Romans.
Como si bella, you are so very beautiful, you are so very wonderful.
And now our special guests, the Four Lovers.
Girl in my dreams, girl in my dreams, where are you? Girl in my dreams, I'm so blue, how I yearn, how I long for you.
Actually, they still were the Four Lovers when Bob Gaudio joined them. It wasn't until later they changed to the Four Seasons while auditioning for a job at a nightclub by that name. They didn't get the gig, but the name stuck and somehow seemed to mark the beginning of new directions. As Frankie describes it, things began to come
We
together.
did some background studio work. We kind of did a lot of lounge work. We did some stuff with Bob Crew, backing a lot of records and vocally and instrumentally. And about 2 years of working in the background before we came to the surface with Sherry. We had one record out before Sherry called Bermuda, and that was a zip.
She went sailing on a coral sea, started wonder, my darling indeed.
The success of the Four Seasons came mostly with material generated from within. Exotics, his kind of people.
Records like Dawn and Walk Like a Man and Let's Hang On were very real situations in the sense that they were things that people related to, that they had gone through in their lives.
There ain't no good in our goodbye. True love takes a lot of trying. Oh,
crying.
Let's hang on to what we got. Don't let go, girl. We got a lot of love between us. Hang on, hang on, hang on to what we got.
For several years after meeting up with Bob Crew, the Four Seasons were solely used as background singers and musicians, with the exception of the unsuccessful record Bermuda. They had to rely on their nightclub work to keep going. It was as an entertainer that Frankie Valli began to develop the full use of his incredible voice. Bob Crew happened to catch the Four Seasons act at a Jersey nightclub. Frankie was doing an imitation of an old, high-voiced female entertainer named Rose Murphy. Now, Crew suggested they use that high voice on their next record, which turned out to be Sherry. The record sold 180,000 copies the first day and set in motion the Four Seasons formula. Success equals Bob Crew producing and helping with writing, plus Bob Gaudio writing, plus Frankie Valli's voice.
I've always had it. It's something that I just had naturally, and the people who were writing material for me or for the group in that period of time were taking advantage of the fact that I had more than a 3-octave range. And they wrote specifically to use that and utilize.
Frankie can sing even higher than what we're used to from the Four Seasons. They once had a hit record with a Bob Dylan song, which was so unusual, they released it under another name, The Wonder Who.
Frankie's always had that strange voice. We've used it on a couple of things in some of the older albums. I don't remember exactly how it went down, other than we knew we had a super track, and the arrangement was fabulous. We just knew it was there. But vocally, it was, I don't know, a little too low, or something was wrong, and the lead, when he put it on, didn't quite sound exciting enough, and he started clowning around with the high voice. And it started working. It started sounding really good, so we went through with it and finished the record that way, and convinced Phillips at the time to, hey, what's the difference? Let's give it a shot. We've got nothing to lose. And a station in Atlantic City did an interview, and we happened to have an acetate of it. And he said, hey, I would really like to put the interview on and play the record and just ask what's going on with the record. And we said, okay, great, but, don't get us into any trouble. I mean, one time, because it's not a released piece of product, and Phillips will have a lawsuit, and so on and so forth. As it turned out, he played it every hour on the hour for like 2 weeks. And it became #1 at the station, and so on and so forth. As it turned out, he played it every hour on the hour for like 2 weeks. And it became #1 at the station in requests. And the company was forced to put it out, and it went top 10.
During one of those hitless periods, the group signed with Motown Records. It was a bad move for Motown and the Four Seasons. Nothing seemed to work out, and the period was a total drain on the Seasons' career. Well, almost, except for one record.
It was originally recorded for Motown Records, where we spent about 2.5 years in obscurity. Very few people even knew we were with the company. It was one of the things that they weren't terribly fond of. When we left, we bought back the track.
Motown never released it, but Private Stock, the new label, sure did.
I thought it was a hit song the day the song was shown to me. And when we recorded it, I said, this is a hit song. It's got to be a hit song. It's such a great song. It's the kind of a song that will become a standard.
The name of the song was My Eyes Adored You. It was written by Bob Crew and a young man named Kenny Nolan. It rescued the name of Frankie Valli from those 2.5 years of obscurity. And it showed again the truth of Frankie's philosophy. You talk to the people you know.
I'm sure that every guy that was really hung up on a girl would have liked to be so poetic as to say to a girl, my eyes adored you. I mean, or can't take my eyes off of you. But that also depended on the neighborhood you came from. In a song, it was one thing. If you came from a rough neighborhood, you didn't tell a girl, my eyes adored you. It was different. The environment had an awful lot to do, but you didn't mind hearing somebody else say it.
My eyes adored you. Though I never laid a hand on you, my eyes adored you. Like a million miles away from me, you couldn't see how I adored you. So close and yet so far. Carried your books from school, playing make-believe you're married to me. You were 5th grade, I was 6 when we came to be. Walking home every day over Barnacle Bridge and Bay, till we grew into me and you went our separate ways. My eyes adored you. Though I never laid a hand on you, my eyes adored you. Like a million miles away from me, you couldn't see how I adored you. So close and yet so far. My eyes so all my life I will remember. Though I never laid a hand on you, my eyes adored you. Like a million miles away from me, you couldn't see how I adored you. Full of feelings and regrets. So close, I know I will never forget you, my child. My eyes adored you. Though I never laid a hand on you, my eyes adored you.
Next, we examine the Four Seasons. Are they people? Are they an idea? Or are they just a state of mind? Almost no resemblance to the guys who used to sing behind Frankie Valli.
Basically, I'm the only original member in the group of the active working members. And ain't nobody gonna come along and take that away, because I love what I do.
Swear to God, you make me see, so I believe in you.
The truth is that Frankie Valli now plays a distinctly background role with the Four Seasons.
I don't sing on all Four Season records, as you probably know, and you can tell from listening to the Who Loves You album. I am singing very little on that. In reconstructing the Four Seasons, the first thing I looked for was very talented people. And I think I have probably the best set of Four Seasons there ever was.
The original Four Seasons you and I remember from the old days were Frankie, Bob Gaudio, Nick Massey, and Tommy DeVito. For a variety of business and personal reasons, Frankie is the only one performing with the group today. The new Four Seasons are Don Ciccone, John Paiva plays lead guitar, Lee Shapiro plays keyboards. The drummer is Jerry Polchi, who...
The new group is completely schooled. Everybody reads, everybody plays, and even though they've been schooled, they still have come far past that.
First album from the current Four Seasons produced a smash single called December 1963. Originally, Judy and Bob wrote it as a story about the repeal of Prohibition. It was called December 5th, 1933. The lyrics went something like this. Mush and mash beneath their feet, doing the Charleston in the street. Ain't no way to be discreet, rolling round in a rumble seat. Oh, what a night, December 5th in 1933.
And we had a long discussion after the song was written. We'd already laid down the basic musical track, and we pro'd and conned it a little bit, and then Bob went home and rewrote the lyric to fit a generation that would understand.
As Frankie suggests, the song needed to be a little more now. Who knows what would have happened had they not changed it, but they did. And the world was treated to a very contemporary story. Not about booze, but a young man's first experience with a girl.
Oh, what a night. Late December back in 63. What a very special time for me. As I remember what a night. Oh, what a night. You know I didn't even know her name, but I was never gonna be the same. What a lady
Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons have become two separate acts on two different record labels. Seasons' name is owned jointly by Bob Gaudio and Frankie Valli. It's a remarkable business relationship, a basically handshake deal that's lasted more than 16 years. Gaudio and Valli split everything up the middle. Mike Curb, president of Warner Curb, launched his company with the help of the Four Seasons.
Well, I had a luncheon with Bob Gaudio about a year and a half ago. And at that time, Bob and I kind of discussed the concept of a new Four Seasons sound that would be based upon all the great harmony sounds and all the great melodic concepts that they had used in the past.
Bob Gaudio had suffered some artistic confusion and loss of confidence because of a disastrous album in 1968 called The Genuine Imitation Life Gazette.
It was highly accepted in as far as the underground magazines at the time, the Rolling Stones and the Berkeley Bobs and so on and so forth, review-wise. Got fabulous reviews, but every review ended off with, too bad it's not the Moody Blues or someone of that nature. It probably would be a #1 album. But unfortunately, it's the Four Seasons, and who can believe that?
He's also the same Bob Gaudio who wrote Sherry and who wrote probably 30 major Four Seasons hits. So Bob has that tremendous commercial side of him, and when you blend that with the immense creativity that he has, I just can't imagine a more exciting group in terms of future prospects.
Next on the special of the week with Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, silence is not golden.
Operation from a business standpoint, I get involved in that too.
Their relationship was put to the most severe test in the late 60s when the Four Seasons business empire began to come apart. A combination of personal disagreements and mistakes beset the group. It split up, leaving only Frankie and Bob. It's a wonder they made it.
We started to accumulate a lot of debts, and we were having some internal problems. We had to buy our partners out and so on and so forth. It got very confusing. There were legal things and government things and the IRS and so on and so forth. But we didn't want to run away from the debts, and they totaled well over $1 million.
The debt was actually $1,400,000. These things seemed to come in bunches. The great business problems were one thing, but that wasn't the half of it.
Silence is golden, golden, but my eyes still see.
Silence is Golden was a big hit for Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, but the sounds of silence descended suddenly with very little warning on Frankie one afternoon in 1967. He was going deaf. Results in total silence. He's had corrective surgery with considerable success and pain. He's won the battle so far, but the future is uncertain. Inner strength is a surprising quality. Frankie Valli is a little man in size, only 5'7", but he's a big man inside. He didn't run. He paid his debts and his dues. And the world looks fairly bright now, financially and personally.
I am.
He's come a long way, Frankie Costelluccio, from a high school dropout in Newark, New Jersey, to the jet-set world of Beverly Hills, through trouble and ill health and even the IRS. He never stopped.
I'm one of those kind of believers who thinks that there is nothing that cannot be accomplished by an individual, depending upon how much you want to put into it and how much guts you have. Nobody can put you down for trying, man. I mean, that's what life is all about. And if you think you might be good for something, you should try it. So you fall on your face, you get right back up. What's the big deal?
And so we have the story of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. They faced the trials of the past and the challenges of the present. We can only assume the future holds even newer, more sophisticated concepts. But for many, the 3.5-octave sound of Frankie Valli is a reminder of another, more awkward time, when he and the Four Seasons spoke of things to a generation of teenagers that they couldn't say to each other. Frankie's high, clear voice sings to us, not only now, but with us in our mind's ear, whenever we reach out of the radio and into the back seat of our hearts. The special of the week on Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons was written and produced by George Burns. Our director was Lee Hansen. Our engineer, Steve Booth. Special thanks to Dave Schwartz and Steve Resnick for their help finding the rare Frankie Valli recordings. The special of the week is produced and distributed by Watermark Incorporated. Executive producer, Tom Rounds. Toyota hopes you've enjoyed this week's special of the week.
Toyota, TDK Recording Tapes, and Crazy Eddie have proudly presented the 99X Special of the Week. Next Saturday night at 10 o'clock, we'll feature Lou Rawls on the station that's rocking the apple in stereo, 99X.